Welcome to another module of nuclear radiation. Now, we are very much aware about the severity and dangerousness of these nuclear radiation, and sometimes these nuclear radiation in different ways they are become the part and parcel of various chemical industries, maybe attributed to some X-ray, maybe attributed to some UV lights, IR, etc. So there different aspects are associated with the chemical industries. So before we start with the gravity of this nuclear radiation, let us have a look about the basic definition. So as the startup that includes the radiation term, so first thing is that radiation. Now, what is radiation? So, radiation is a transmission of energy through space or a material away from a source like electromagnetic waves, cosmic waves and sound waves. So, we know that all radiations are harmful for living body. The effect of a particular radiation can be understood by first examining its effect on atom, the basic building block of a particular matter. Now, atom, it is the smallest particle of any matter. It composed of proton, electron and neutron. And atomic number, the number of protons inside the nucleus of atom. So, every element has its unique atomic number, hence atomic number determines the element. So, these are some basic things which we must understand before we go further for this particular module. Apart from this, the mass number, that is the total number of protons plus neutrons in that particular element. The neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons. There is an ionization or ionizing radiation, the radiation with enough energy to remove tightly bound electrons from the orbit of an atom. So, when imparted over it causing the atom to become charged or ionized. So, ionizing radiation is produced by unstable atoms, and unstable atom have either excess energy or excess mass or both. So, this excess energy is liberated in the form of radiation. Now, there are two forms of things, wave or particles. So, wave form, the best way to understand the wave form is to consider it in the form of photons, which are chargeless bundles of energy that travel in a vacuum with the velocity of light. The particulate form, that is the special form of ionizing radiation, which consists of atomic or subatomic particles, that is electrons, protons, etc., which carry the energy in the form of kinetic energy. Let us take the question that direct or indirect ionization. So, direct ionizing radiation, alpha and beta particles, they are considered as a direct ionizing, as they carry a charge and hence can directly interact with the electrons of an atom through electrostatic force of attraction or repulsion. The indirect radiation or ionization, they are the gamma and X-rays are considered indirect radiation, as they electrically neutral and hence they do not directly interact with atomic electrons. So, neutrons are also considered under the indirect ionizing radiation. Nucleus when travels in the form of radiation can also be significant health concern. The alpha particles, they are the cluster of two neutrons and two protons. So, about 7,300 times heavier than the mass of electron, and they cannot penetrate even the layer of dead cells at the surface of his skin. Radium and plutonium, they are the two example of alpha emitters. Then there are beta particles, the electrons or positrons. These positrons are produced by the radioactive decay of nucleus. So, these electrons or positrons travelling at a very high energies and a very high speed, they can cause the severe burns to the skin. The radioisotopes emits beta particles are present in fission process or products from the nuclear reactor. There are certain gamma particles, they are the more energetic form of electromagnetic radiation made of photons. They are produced from the radioactive atoms and are produced by the hottest and the most energetic object in the universe, such as supernova explosion, neutron stars and the pulsars, etc. They are artificially produced from the nuclear fission reaction, such as the nuclear reactors. X-rays very common in chemical engineering. Now produced when the electrons are suddenly decelerated upon collision with the metal target. These X-rays are called the baking radiations. Now if the bombarding of electron have sufficient energy to knock out the electrons from the inner shell of target metal atom, then the electron from a higher state of energy level drops down to fill the vacancy and hence result in emitting X-ray photons, that is called the characteristics of X-ray. So higher the energy of X-ray or a gamma ray, deeper will the penetration inside the body and creating a large number of ions inside the body. So 1 mega electron volt gamma ray can completely penetrate the body. Now let us have a look about the radioactivity. So if the nucleus is unstable for any reasons, there are a variety of reasons, so it will emit and absorb particles, and there are many types of radiation and they are pertinent to everyday life and health as well as nuclear physical application. So too many protons in a nucleus lead to emit the positron, the positively charged electrons, changing a proton into a neutron. Now too much of energy led to let us say nucleus to emit the gamma rays, now leading towards the stabilization of nucleus without further change. And if you have too much of mass, leads to the nucleus to emit an alpha particle discarding 2 protons and 2 neutrons. The next thing is that activity of radioisotopes. So this measures how many atoms undergo the radioactive decay per unit time, and the SI unit is BQ, that is equal to the radioactive disintegration per second, and the other unit is the Curie CI, that is equal to 3.7 into 10 to the power 10 radioactive disintegrations per second. So we have discussed the radioactive decay, so let us have a look about the radioactive decay. So the specific activity and half-life of any radioactive material. The basic equation for the radioactive decay is given by d minus dn by dt to the equal to lambda n, where n is the number of radioactive atom and t is the time and lambda is the radioactive decay constant, having the unit of a second inverse. So if we integrate the above equation using the time t is equal to 0, n is equal to n naught, that is the number of radioactive atoms present at the arbitrary time 0, and t is equal to t, n is equal to n, we get n upon n naught is equal to exponential of minus lambda t. So for half life, that is n is equal to n naught upon 2 and t denotes the half life time, then n naught by 2 upon n naught is equal to exponential of minus lambda t. So therefore t is equal to ln 2 by lambda is equal to 0.693 upon lambda, where n naught is equal to Na, capital Na upon m naught, where Na, capital Na is the Avogadro's number and 6.023 into 10 to the power 23, and m naught is the atomic weight. So as lambda is constant for entire process, so it can be defined as lambda is equal to 0.693 upon t. So for any time t, minus dn by dt is equal to lambda capital N upon m naught is equal to 0.693 upon t and a upon m naught. So this is this represents the radioactive decay. The energy released during decay can be governed through Einstein equation E is equal to mc square, where c is the velocity of light. Energy may also be calculated through decay equation, that is E is equal to change in the mass of atom into atomic mass unit AMU, and 1 AMU is equal to 931 MeV. So let us take an example of a reaction that is this PO 9210 lead and helium. This atomic mass balance equation can be calculated by the left hand side. This is the atomic mass 210 and the right hand side 206, and this is having 4 helium. So for right hand side it is 210.0838 and the total mass loss is 0.011. Therefore energy is equal to 931 into 0.11 is equal to 10.3 MeV. Now let us have a discussion about the effect on living organism. Now ionizing radiation in a smaller amount does not pose any significant effect over the human body. Now sufficient dose per unit mass is the key factor, that is dose versus response. So for significant biological effect, energy absorbed per unit mass of the body with which the radiation is interacting, this must be determined. So SI unit for the absorbed dose is equal to Gray, Gy is equal to 1 joule per kilogram mass. The older unit, this is the rad, which stands for radiation absorbed dose, and that is there is a correlation factor between the Gray and rad. This is equal to 1 Gy is equal to 100 rad. So biologically equivalent dose. Now these effects does not only depends on the amount of the absorbed dose, but also on the intensity of the ionization in living cell caused by the different type of radiations. So neutron, proton and alpha radiation then can pose 5 to 20 times more harm than the same amount of the absorbed dose of beta or gamma radiation. So the SI unit of this particular is sievert, SV. The other unit is REM, that is Roentgen equivalent man. Now Roentgen who invented the X-ray. So 1 SV is equal to 100 rem. Now the living tissue is made up of molecules, which is a combination of a different type of atoms. The functioning of a molecule depends upon the composition as well as the structure of atoms. The ionizing radiation has sufficient energy to change to alter the chemical bonds inside such molecules, which results to damage the tissues. Exposure, this is measured in Roentgen R, the amount of X-ray or gamma radiation that produces ionization resulting in 1 electrostatic unit of charge, that in 1 centimeter square of dry air. Now if the ionizing radiation emits the electron directly from the DNA or from the neighboring molecules and disrupts the DNA, then it is called direct action. Now if the electron strikes the ordinary water molecule, which results to produce the free radical, a free radical interacts with other molecules very fast and may lead to disrupt the crucial DNA molecule. Now this is termed as indirect action. So the fatal dose in this particular case is 600 R. Now there are certain acute somatic effect. So when a person is actually exposed, the relative immediate effect has been observed. Now its severity depends on dose and the type of a radiation. Death usually results from damage to bone marrow or intestinal wall. The acute radiodermatitis is common in radiotherapy. Chronic cases occur mostly in various industries. Now this is the table reflects the acute dose effects. So if it is in the range of 0 to 25, no observable effect. If 25 to 50 are the minor temporary blood changes, 50 to 100 are the possible nausea and vomiting and reduced white blood cells. 150 to 300 are increased severity of these type of activities and diarrhea, loss of appetite, etc. 300 to 500 are increased severity of this above listing, hormonal changing, depilation, sometimes death may occur. and if it is greater than 500 R, the symptoms appear immediately and then death has to occur. So it's extremely dangerous. Now, let us have a discussion about the delayed somatic effect and genetic disorders. So, delayed effect includes cancer, leukemia, cataracts, life shortening from organ failure, miscarriage, etc. Now, these effects does not depends upon the threshold for a radiation, but depends upon the doses. The genetic effects are irreversible and are always harmful for the patient. Now, there are critical organs which are enlisted for this type of activity, that is the lymphocytes, bone marrow, gastrointestinal, gonads and other fast growing cells. Now, thyroid gland is considered critical as many nucleides concentrates in such particular gland. The radiation emergencies, the scale and type of radiological and nuclear emergencies may ranges from an isolated occupational or a medical overexposure of a person to a major catastrophe with the global dimensions. Now, regardless the scale or a cause of an accident, there is a common denominator, that is human health. So, International Health Regulation 2005 includes its scope radionuclear hazards, and countries should meet the core national capacities requirement for the response to radiation emergency. Now, the public health sector must be prepared to respond and to provide the medical care of the injured. There are OSHA limits. For the whole body limit is 1.25 rem per quarter or 5 rem or 5 MSV per year. Hands and feet limit 18.75 rem per quarter. Skin of whole body limit 7.5 rem per quarter. Total life accumulation 5 into n minus 18 rem, where n is equal to age. So, can have 3 rem per quarter if total life accumulation not exceeded. Now, this particular table reflects the maximum permissible dose equivalent for occupational exposure. Now, here you are having combined whole body occupational exposure like prospective annual limit 5 rams in any 1 year, the radiospective annual limit 10 to 15 ram in any 1 year, long term accumulation n minus 18 into 5 ram, where n is the age in year, the skin 15 ram in any year, the hands 75 ram in any 1 year, that is 25 per quarter, the forearms 30 ram in any year, or you can say the 10 quarters 10 per quarter. The fertile woman with respect to the fetus 0.5 ram in the gestation period, and the population dose limits are 0.17 ram average per year. There are certain community emergency radiation. So, radiation above background, that is 0.01 to 0.02 meter ram per hour, signifies the possible presence which must be monitored. So, radiation above 2 milliram per hour indicates the potential hazard, and evacuate site until controlled is always advisable under such scenario. Now, there are different type of nuclear reactors, and the principal type of reactors we are going to discuss in this particular slide. There are gas cooled reactors like Magnos reactor, advanced gas cooled reactors, high temperature gas cooled reactors. There are certain heavy water reactors like CANDU reactors, steam generating reactors. There are fast breeder reactors. There are certain lightweight reactors, those who are pressurized water reactors and boiling water reactors. So, let us have a look about the Magnox reactor. The Magnox reactor were built in United Kingdom from 1956 to 1971, but have now been suspended or superseded with the additional advanced system. The Magnox reactor is named after the magnesium alloy used to encase the fuel, which is a natural uranium metal. Fuel element consisting of a fuel rod encased in Magnox can are loaded into the vertical channels in a core constructed of a graphite blocks. These further channels, they contain the control rods like strong neutron absorbers which can be inserted or withdrawn from the core to adjust the rate of fission process and therefore the heat output. So the whole assembly is cooled by blowing carbon dioxide gas passed into the fuel cans, which are specially designed to enhance the heat transfer. Now these hot gases, then they are converted water to steam in a steam generator, and early design used a steel pressure vessel which was surrounded by a thick concrete radiation shield. So in later design, a dual purpose concrete pressure vessel and a radiation shield was used. Now let us have a look about the advanced gas cooled reactor. So in order to improvise the cost effectiveness of a Magnox reactor, it was necessary to go for a higher temperature to achieve the higher thermal efficiency and higher power density to reduce any kind of capital cost. So the entailed this increase in cooling gas pressure and a changing from Magnox to stainless steel cladding, and from uranium metal to uranium dioxide fuel. So they have changed the all aspect of or all key point of the Magnox reactor. Now this in turn led to the need for an increase in the proportion of uranium-235 in the fuel. Now the resulting design known as the advanced gas cooled reactor or AGR, now they still uses the graphite as the moderator, and as in the later part of the Magnox design, the steam generators and gas circulators are placed within the combined concrete pressure vessel or radiation shield. Now there are heavy water cooled and moderated reactors. The only design for heavy water moderated reactor in commercial use is CANDU. This is designed in Canada and subsequently exported to other countries. So in this CANDU reactor, the enrichment of enriched uranium dioxide is held in zirconium alloy cans loaded into the horizontal zirconium alloy tube. The fuel is cooled by pumping heavy water through the tubes under very high pressure to prevent any kind of a boiling, and then to a steam generator to raise steam from ordinary water. So this is also known as a natural or a light water in the normal way. The necessary additional moderation is achieved by immersing the zirconium alloy tubes in an unpressurized container that is called the calandria, this containing more heavy water. Control is affected by inserting and withdrawing the cadmium rods from calandria, and the whole assembly is contained inside the concrete shield and containment vessel. There are certain fast reactors. So as of today, the commercially successful reactor system are the thermal reactors using a slow or a thermal neutrons to maintain the fission chain reaction in uranium-235 fuel. Now even with the enrichment level used in the fuel for such reactors, however, for the largest number of atom present, they are uranium-238, which are not feasible. Now consequently, when these atoms absorb an extra neutron, their nuclei do not split but are converted into another element called plutonium. Now plutonium is fissile, and some of it is consumed in C2, while some remain in this, the spent fuel together with the unused uranium-235. Now these components can be separated from the fission product waste and recycled to reduce the consumption of uranium in thermal reactor by say up to 40%. Although clearly thermal reactor still require a substantial net feed of natural uranium. So it is possible, however, to design a reactor with the overall produces more fissile material in the form of plutonium than it consumes, and so that is why they are called the fast reactors. So this is the fast reactor in which the neutrons are unmoderated, hence the term is fast. The physics of this type of a reactor dictates a core with a high fissile concentration, typically around 20% and made of plutonium. Now in order to make it breed The active core is surrounded by the material that is largely uranium-235 left over from the thermal reactor enrichment process. Now, the material is referred as fertile because it converts the fissile material in irradiated during operation of the reactor. So, due to the absence of any kind of a moderator and a high fissile content of the core, heat removal requires the use of high conductivity coolant such as liquid sodium, etc. So, sodium circulated through the core heats the secondary loop of sodium coolant, which then heats water in a particular steam generator to raise the steam. And this steam is being used for the power generation. Now, let us take the assessment of nuclear hazard. So, nuclear industries has for long use made of probabilistic risk assessment technique to ensure that the hazard must be identified. Considerable effect is devoted to the treatment of the accident sequence and scenarios, and there are a number of natural and man-made threats which may hazard nuclear plants such as explosion, hydrogen fuel explosion, earthquakes, etc. So, when sufficient information is not available, resort may be had to the use of expert judgment, and it may be used to obtain the failure and event rates or the formulation of accident sequences. So, as nuclear power plant operates under the computer controlled, quality assurance of software and hardware is essential. While doing event tree analysis and a fault tree analysis for conducting probabilistic risk assessment, the estimation of human error is very important. Now, each accident scenario needs to be associated with the defined source term, so that the dispersion of radioactive material may be modeled, like example gas dispersion model or a two-phase dispersion model. Now, there may be certain recommendation may be attributed to this particular aspect, so like all aspect of the design and operation of the nuclear power plant need to be carried out to a high standard. Now, this led to the generation of a system of a quality assurance standards. The high quality inspection is an integral part or essential part of a nuclear industry. These includes acoustic emission monitoring, ultrasonic and leak detection methods, risk based inspection, etc. One of the most important inspection technique is the fracture mechanics. Now, the seismic quantification is also an essential part of the regular inspection to judge the threats of any kind of earthquake. Now, nuclear industry, they always explore in details of a factor like aging of instrument, residual of remaining life assessment, etc. There are so many. So, in this particular module, we had discussed about the nuclear radiation, and in a different module, we will discuss one of the most worst nuclear disaster, that is called the Chernobyl. So, if you wish to have further reading, then the series of references are enlisted in this particular slide. Thank you very much.